I've always really liked disasters. Like big disasters. Because I've always kind of liked it when a lot of people die. And I know what you're thinking, and it's not like that. It's just, I'm always hoping that no matter how small a problem is, it always grows into bigger and bigger proportions until the entire thing gets completely out of control. For example, let's say a water main breaks in a downtown western city like Los Angeles, knocking out all the traffic lights, creating a citywide traffic jam, and emergency vehicles can't get through, But at the same time, one of those month-long global warming heat waves comes along, and there's no air conditioning, and there's no water for sanitation, so cholera, dysentery, smallpox, and typhoid fever break out, and people start dying in the streets. But before they die, parasites eat their brains, and they go completely crazy, and they all march in the hospitals at the same time. But the hospitals are too full from all the patients. So these crazy people start stabbing all the doctors and nurses and stripping off all their clothing and then burning them in a big pile outside the hospital. And the flames drive them even crazier. So they start running around the city stabbing social workers and garbage men. And then they begin to light the buildings on fire, and the entire city goes to flames. And then the people who aren't sick yet, the well people, they get mad at the sick people. And they start killing them and crucifying them and just trying on their underwear, stuff like that. And then everybody gets drunk, they all smoke PCP and crack, and then they go completely crazy and they march on City Hall, where they all start sodomizing each other in front of a statue of Samuel Gompers. And at this point it appears like, pretty soon, things are gonna get out of control. So everybody tries to leave the city at the same time, trampling each other to death by the thousands, and their corpses are eaten by wild dogs. And the wild dogs begin chasing the rest of the people down the highway, killing all the slow people and the old people because they're in the fast lane where they don't belong. And then once the people get out of the city, they start to realize that the suburbs have lit on fire, and the suburbs burn intensely, where thousands of identical houses have identical fires with identical smoke, killing all the soccer moms and guys named Todd. And the fire from the suburbs moves into the farmlands, and the farms burn intensely at 425 degrees, creating millions of baked potatoes. And the fire from the farms caused the barns and farmhouses to explode from all the hidden methamphetamine labs inside them. And the meth chemicals run down the fields, into the rivers and streams, where bears and wolves begin drinking the water and getting completely geeked on speed. And these wild animals begin roaming around the countryside, looking for people to eat, even though they're not really hungry. And the fires from the farms, they move into the forests, and the forests burn intensely, where all the trolls and elves and fairies begin running out of the forest screaming, "Bambi is dead! Bambi is dead!" And he is. Finally, that fucking fruity little Bambi is dead. And at this point, all the fires come together, and they create a regional firestorm, where all 12 of the western United States are on fire, except for Utah, where the Mormons don't allow fire. But then the fire starts to move across the Midwest, where fierce 80-mile-an-hour winds push the fire all the way across, and it begins toasting the wheat and cooking the cattle and producing, hamburgers actually. And then the fire jumps the Mississippi and moves down to the south, where it begins interrupting lynches, burning down trailer parks, and killing millions of inbred people. And finally, the fire begins to turn northeast, where it moves towards Washington, D.C., where George Bush can't decide whether it's an emergency or not. So the fire decides to go to Philadelphia, but it's a weekend and Philadelphia is closed. So the fire then moves to New York City, and all the people in New York City tell the fire to go fuck itself, and the fire does. So instead it burns down Connecticut and Long Island, killing all the rich white assholes and completely destroying their evil, faggoty golf courses. And while this is going on, Canada burns to the ground, but nobody notices it. And at this point, the entire North American continent is on fire, and it creates a hemispheric megastorm, and this fire begins to change the laws of nature and physics. Fire and water combine. Burning clouds of flaming rain fall upwards, and the ionosphere begins to light on fire and create millions of tons of ionized plasma, and the North Pole begins to shoot lightning bolts 20 million miles long, and the moon explodes, and the fabric of space-time begins to vibrate and shift until it cracks in two, and a big crack in the universe opens, and all the dead people from the past begin falling through. Groucho Marx, Tiny Tim, Davy Crockett, Hitler, Alan Ludden, Babe Ruth, my Uncle Dave, your Uncle Dave, everybody's Uncle Dave. And this endless stream of Uncle Daves begin falling through the crack, and they all fall into a heavenly kitchen table where they light up cigarettes and they start talking. They talk about how they never got a break, how their parents didn't love them, and how they just got screwed out of a big job. They talk about how the Jews own everything and the blacks get special treatment, and the hate falls out of their mouths and creates a pool of liquid hate, and this hate pool begins to spin, and the faster it spins, the bigger it gets. It spins faster and faster, getting bigger and bigger until the pool of hate is bigger than the original universe, and finally the pool of hate explodes, and out of that pool of hate comes trillions of tiny stars, and each star has 1 trillion planets, and each planet has 1 trillion Uncle Daves, and all the Uncle Daves have perfect eyesight, good health care, and they love their neighbors. All of them just got that perfect job, and all of them have kids that love them, and every Uncle Dave wins the lottery. Every week, forever and ever, Uncle Dave has a winning ticket, and Uncle Dave is finally happy. Now do you understand why I like it when a lot of people die?